All right, here we are with Nolan Myers. Nolan, before we get going into your wrestling career at Hastings, let's hear about your graduation year first. I'd like hearing about that first before we get into the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, it was a little bit different than what you would normally get just from graduating during COVID. We had a shortened up season. From what I remember, I think we only started after New Year's and maybe went for a little over 2 months. But yeah, it was a fun year. It was a little bit different, like I said. We were split up in the practice room. I forget how it was done, maybe lighter weights and heavier weights. We practiced separate. So there was a little bit of the team part that I feel like was missing from that year, which was a bummer. But still being able to be together on dual days and tries. I don't think we did many tournaments either, to be
Mm.
honest. But yeah, it was different, but it was still a fun time. Grew close with guys that I might not usually talk to or hang out as much, which was cool. Gave definitely a different perspective. But yeah, we had a solid lineup. Nothing that jumped off the sheet. Definitely was preparing for that state title run when I was gone a few years later, which was cool to see. But we beat up Woodbury from what I remember. Where there was a couple swing matches that went our way, and we ended up, I don't know what the final score was, but beat them by something like 20 or so, I would guess. Then we had to turn around and wrestle Stillwater right after, which kind of didn't make the moment as sweet because we got beat up by them, but still were able to win the section as a team, which is pretty cool. Always seems like it's one of the big goals for the year going in pretty much every season. But yeah, it was a fun year, definitely different, but overall, definitely a great experience.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's rewind here. Let's hear about how you got into wrestling initially.
Yeah, I guess I don't exactly remember when or what year it began. I know I did a bunch of showcases when I was younger, did some other club wrestling. My older brother, Finley, he was the first to wrestle in my family. My mom's uncles all wrestled for Simley, so it was definitely in our family before just me and my brother. But yeah, my brother wrestled. I was always going to his matches and tournaments. I guess it never was like a choice. It just was like always wrestling. But yeah, I started doing that. Got old enough to get into the middle school game. Had some success in middle school. Was able to get up to the high school, wrestle some 9U and some JV and some varsity earlier than most do, I guess. So that was really cool. Took some lumps, definitely. Broke a couple bones, which wasn't the most fun, but learned a lot through those processes as well. But yeah, it was definitely a positive and exciting high school career. It started out young and able to keep it going to this day.
Perfect. Yeah. So you did talk about your uncles from Sinley. Let's just highlight them really quick. And they were decently successful in high school as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. My mom had three brothers that wrestled for Simley. The oldest was his name's Patrick. Last name is Ahern. That was my mom's maiden name. I don't think he ever placed at state. My mom's other brother, Kevin Ahern, he was, I think, probably the best out of them. He was an all-state linebacker, and then I know he lost in the state finals once. May have lost twice, I believe. I know he was in the state finals once and placed a few other times. And then her youngest brother, Michael, he was in the state semis and lost on a referee's decision or something like that. I forget how they did it back then. And then he unfortunately semi slid to sixth, but he was a good wrestler as well. But yeah, it was definitely in the family before my brother and I, but we're able to continue that tradition kind of. So that was cool.
Perfect. Yes. And you just mentioned as well, you had some injuries early on in your high school career. Just talk about those injuries. You don't have to go into a ton of detail about what they were, but you did mention that you've learned a lot from it as well. So talk about how those injuries early on possibly led you to success later on in your high school career.
Yeah, definitely. I think both were lower body. I think the funny part was, I think my first ever varsity match is when I broke my foot. So that was a little bit of a welcome to the show moment. But then I had my ankle injury that freshman year, I believe. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's never like a straight line. I think that's why wrestling's so good for life as well. It's consistent, constantly ups and downs. There's just never going to be an easy way. You can't get too high on your highs or low on your lows. You just have to accept what is, learn to deal with it, and figure out a way to use it to your advantage. And I guess I didn't always do that successfully, but I feel like when it happens to you a couple times, you have to change with it or you kind of sink. Was able to roll with the punches a little bit. A lot of help from coaches and teammates and stuff and parents and whatever. But yeah, it's definitely helped me realize how applicable wrestling is to life for sure.
Perfect. So let's go through your high school career and anything that really jumps off the page, stats wise, captain wise, things of that nature. You talked about your senior year already. It was COVID. You mentioned it already that we were at two different sites. So I believe 107 all the way to about 138. They practice at the middle school. Then we had about 145 to all the way up to heavyweight. They practice at the high school. And then so coaches were only at one location. I know I bounced around to both. So as you said, it was kind of a different year where you only saw half the team every single day of practice until those matches. You didn't really see the other kids on the team, and you really only saw half the coaching staff the whole year too. So that was a pretty different year, your senior year. But you mentioned a lot of team success as well. But let's hear about your sophomore year. I know you got some time that year on varsity, your junior year especially, and then let's go into any more details you want to talk about your senior year.
Yeah, I was able to sneak into the all state portion my senior year. Dealt with a concussion at the end of the run, which knocked me out of my last match. So wasn't able to try to climb up the podium any higher. But yeah, I think that's definitely an awesome accomplishment that I'm super proud about. I think another one that I'm honestly as proud of just being able to be a 2-year captain for wrestling. That was cool. Uh, Underclassmen sort my junior year with a lot of so we had a huge senior class and being able to be a captain on that team was really awesome. And then being able to lead the team my senior year as a captain, being able to be captains in other sports too is really cool. Yeah, I think the leadership side of things is definitely that something I've taken seriously and really proud about. Felt like I was tried to be a good leader to everybody on the team, even though, like you had said, senior year was a little tougher, just being so split up and inconsistent with our schedule. But yeah, I think being able to be an all-state wrestler is really cool. Being able to be a 2-year captain for a team like Hastings was really awesome. Yeah, I think that's probably a couple of my most proud accomplishments. Definitely had some ups and downs throughout even my senior year, but I would say a lot more highs than lows.
Perfect. Yeah. Just so everybody knows about you too. I wrote some notes down. You were a two-time state qualifier individually as well. So you qualified your junior year and your senior year. And then especially as a team as well, you talked a lot about your senior year. This is a different year because we had this super section deal where we won our team section, but then we had to face the winner of another section right away. And that was Stillwater. And they were one of the best teams in the state. So we got kind of rocked by them. And our season was done pretty quickly after that. But overall, when you win the section any kind of year, it's always a big accomplishment. But rewinding your junior year, we had a huge win when it comes to the team in the section finals, and that was the Woodbury as well. And that one was pretty wild. It was just back and forth, and we were down by a lot for a long time. It came down to heavyweight, and old Brady Schiller threw the kid to his back and helped send us to the state tournament that junior year. So that was a really cool highlight. And once again, you were captain of the team and really led that team to a lot of success that year too. But a couple different things too before we get going to your current occupation, what you got going on right now in life. You mentioned being a captain in other sports as well. I know you're a captain in cross country. Were you a captain in any other sports as well?
Yeah, I was able to be a 2-year captain for cross country and then 2 year as well for I guess I would like to have said I'd be a captain my junior year, but that season got canceled for track, but senior year. So yeah, I was able to be a 3 sport captain, which I think was definitely a cool thing. Feel
Perfect. And
like
how many
that's
varsity
something.
letters do you think you got by the end of your high school career?
Man, that's tough. Maybe close to 12 or
Mm.
somewhere around there. Not exactly sure, I guess, but
No, I know whenever I interview alumni, when it comes to this stuff, I always say that we got to go in the Wayback Machine, and yours is a little shorter than the rest. So you should remember this stuff. But when I interview people from the 70s and 80s and even the 90s,
yeah, not
these
as much of an
details
excuse.
go by the wayside. But you're pretty young still, where you should have you should know these things. But that's
Yeah,
okay. I won't hold it against you.
that's good. Please don't.
So after high school, you end up at South Dakota State. A couple years into South Dakota State, you kind of get the wrestling itch again. So let's hear about why you chose South Dakota State, and then how your journey led to what you're currently doing with wrestling.
Yeah, I would say that wrestling itch definitely stayed with me. I chose South Dakota State. I thought it was just a cool school and a big hunter and fisherman. So that definitely struck me. Just I liked South Dakota as a state in general. It was seemed like a good distance from home. I could get away, but not be completely on the other side of the country or anything like that. But yeah, I think it was a good fit for me. Study biology there. Hopes to become a teacher. That kind of is leading into what I'm doing now. Like you had mentioned, I was able to kind of, with the help of you, get a position at the local high school, which is Brookings. I was able to get a high school wrestling coaching job at Brookings and was able to join that staff. And the program definitely accepted me, which was cool. A lot of similarities, I would say, between that and Hastings. Just a great community of people. It shows you the good qualities of what you want in a program, and was able to find that in Brookings as well, which is I don't know if it's lucky or what, but it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, what about some highlights so far of your times at Brookings High School?
I think for me, rather than just the team in general, but for me personally, I think just being able to it's just coaching is just such a different point of view from competing, and I didn't necessarily think that going into it. I would say for coaching, I get more nervous than I ever did competing for myself. With just so much time and effort invested into these kids, and you just want to see them succeed almost more than they'd want to sometimes, which can be definitely a headache sometimes, but such a positive experience when they can see success and you're being somewhat effective whether they enjoy your presence or not. It does work out in the end, which is awesome. Just being able to grow with kids, because there's some kids that started wrestling or are new to that program at the same time I was, so being able to navigate through that with them, trying to be a positive mentor to them, a role model, has been fun, challenging sometimes, but definitely has helped me a lot, just becoming a better person, but being able to help these kids see success.
For sure. So, as you mentioned, you're student teaching right now this upcoming semester at Brookings Middle School. Anything that you're looking forward to when it comes to student teaching or the upcoming wrestling season? I know it seems like it's far away. November is farther away, but sneaks up on us pretty quickly. So, like I said, anything you're looking forward to when it comes to student teaching or the upcoming wrestling season?
Yeah, definitely. I would say on the student teaching side of things, we have a bunch of eighth grader, which I'll be student teaching for eighth grade science. Probably should have prefaced that, but we have quite a few eighth graders that'll be up in the high school room with this year. So just being able to have them in class might be a little challenging. There's a couple wild kids, but they're good kids, and it'd just be cool to be able to be in the classroom setting with them, keep getting them riled up and psyched up for the season. And then on the season side of things, got a lot of eighth graders, got a lot of freshmen. We're a very young team. We got a couple good veteran seniors that should do well this year. Hopefully, find the podium in March. But I just think there's so much. You have so many unknowns and opportunity for growth, whether it be wins or losses, I guess. But there's going to be a lot of learning this year, and I think hopefully with the talent we have, I think it'll be able to translate into some success later in the year, which is exciting, exciting to look forward to.
Perfect. So after the season, you get done with student teaching, you kind of wrap up the year. Anything in the future that you're hoping to do with your education degree or with your coaching career so far? Because how many years have you been doing this? About 2 years, right?
Yeah, this will
Okay,
be number 3.
perfect. So anything that you're really looking forward to in the future here, like I said, with your education degree or your coaching career?
Yeah, to some extent, they're almost one. I think wherever I do end up kind of getting a job teaching, whether it be in Brookings or I don't know exactly where I'll head. I'm not sure if I'll stay in South Dakota or maybe head back to Minnesota and the old Hastings neck of the woods, depending on where I can find a job. But no matter what program I end up being in, just hope to kind of use what I've learned in Hastings for one, which has just been a ton of positives, ton of life lessons from great coaches and good teammates and great teachers and classmates the whole way through. And the same goes to Brookings, just great coaching staff, great parents, great wrestlers. But just kind of using what I've learned through them, all the great lessons and moments, and try to shape that into my own teaching and coaching philosophy, I suppose you could say, to wherever I end up, whether it be Brookings or Hastings or wherever else. But yeah, definitely a lot to look forward to, and kind of trying to establish a program, I guess.
Perfect. Nolan, that's all the questions I got for you tonight. The last thing I always do is just turn the microphone over to our guest. Any shout outs you want to give, any questions I forgot to ask you, anything you want to mention from your high school career, your coaching career so far, or your future career. Like I said, the microphone is yours and you can go for it.
Yeah, I guess I'd shout out high school coaches I was able to have, Mr. Veit, Mr. Hannenberg, Mr. McClay. I had Coach Luke Ryle in there with this junior and senior year. He was super helpful to me. A lot more coaches, McBride, Trembat, I forget who else we had in the room throughout my high school career, but there was a lot more. And then, yeah, the coaches at Brookings right now, Coach Hanson, our head coach, Jordan, our assistant. It was just a great group of coaches and role models that I've been able to wrestle alongside and now coach alongside, and they've definitely helped me kind of along the journey, and definitely wouldn't be here if it weren't for any of them. So thank you to all them.
Perfect. Thanks, Nolan.
Thank you.